This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hi, everybody. Cheryl from Unleashed. Thank you for stopping in today. We're going to have a great show. I have a very special guest, Wendy Van de Poll, who's the best-selling author, an animal advocate, and pet loss grief expert. Good morning, Wendy. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Cheryl. Thank you for inviting me to be on your show. I'm excited to be here.
I am too. And, talking about pet loss, I just lost my Maine Coon about 2 months ago, and I've had quite a few friends who've lost their pets. And let's start off talking about that because it's certainly a very personal decision.
Yes.
Myself, I make the decision, or I have made the decision. Not that I give it much thought, but I seem to make the decision the night before. You seem to know.
Yes, you do seem to know. Our pets can tell us that for sure. Yeah, when they're ready. I've been doing this, Cheryl, for a very long time, helping people through the loss of their pet. And there's so many ways that we can walk through this journey, and we all do it differently. And it's really important for people to understand that this is something special. It's unique to you. You had a special relationship with your Maine Coon cat. I had a special relationship with my dog Marley, and it doesn't get repeated. So each experience we go through with pet loss is going to be different. So it's so important to, one, take care of yourself during this, be kind to yourself, look for places where you're going to get the support you need, and just go through it with a gentleness and a kindness. That's so important to do during this special time.
And I think what is especially better today is that we do realize that our pets are family. They're not just a dog, just a cat, just an animal. And, I see with my friends, there's so much caring. I mean, I always tell people when they lose a pet, I have two sayings. The best place to bury a pet is in the heart of the owner.
Yes.
And they give us the best days of their lives and one really sad one. And it really is a sad one. And it really is unique to each of us. I find for me, and I've done it sadly a few, more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I've never not been without a pet. And they live long lives, is that, no matter what, you have to, when I was a child and it happened, what did I know? The dog was there 1 minute and the dog was gone.
Right.
I find for me, I have to go. You have to be there because it is the most painless thing imaginable. It's dignified, and we would all like to go like that.
Oh, I agree.
There is no suffering. And I know with my Maine Coon, Daniel Boone, he really let me know because I was bringing him in. I was going to carry him in a towel. I figured his last travel experience was not going to be in any kind of a carrier. He was going to be in my arms.
Mm-hmm.
And he jumped right on that towel. He let me know,
Right.
Cats are pack animals also, not just dogs. And,
exactly.
I think for some people, and maybe you could let some people know who maybe aren't, in tune to that. Animals really do have certain signs that they are dying.
Yes.
Whether they're sick, some stop eating, some stop cleaning themselves. Daniel, he did like to stay away from the fray, but he still was part of it because he just had love for me. And, I have another cat. So, and they were a pair. So it's individual. And, like everybody knows their animal, you have to be in tune to that.
Exactly. And there's many ways you can do that too. I remember when my first dog was dying. She was down in Boston at the veterinarian hospital down there. And I was on the phone with my veterinarian and I just said, how do I know? How do I know it's time? And she said, just look into her eyes and you'll know.
That's true. They let you know.
Yes. And that was one of the best pieces of advice. And that was over, oh my gosh, that was like over 30 years ago that I got that advice. And I've kept that with me, and I share that with my clients, is your animal will tell you. So it could be body language. It could just be something that it just feels right. It just feels like, it's time. And I encourage people to trust those little gut feelings that you get, because
You don't want them to suffer.
You don't want them to suffer, no. And it could be a look, it could be a gesture, it could be a sound, but when it hits you, whether it's a look in the eyes or it hits you in the deep pits of your stomach, that's usually the time, to make that decision.
I had that. I had the worst pit in my stomach. And when I went to the vet, of course, you hope they're going to say you're nuts, but you can't be, because when you know your animal,
right,
and you've
exactly.
had animals before,
Right. Right.
He said he's ready.
Right. He's ready. Right.
But for me, of course, after it was over, I just couldn't wait to get out of there to cry.
Right.
And we had a lovely afternoon, all the three of us together. But I feel for people, it's also important when they're thinking, when it comes into your head, like a thought, you have to start to understand that, recognize it, and prepare yourself.
Exactly.
I didn't just, wake up that day and go, today's the day, or the day before, tomorrow's the day. I was prepping myself that it was going to be soon, and I would know when it was going to happen.
Exactly.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Also.
And I cover that a lot in my books. So and then on my blogs, on my website too, there's a lot of articles on that. I find, that old cliche, knowledge is power.
Yes.
It even works with pet loss. The more you learn, the more you do the work, because grief is something that we have as human beings. And it's something that we can't push away. We can't put it under the rug. Grief happens. And with my clients, I teach them how to develop a relationship with their grief, so that it is a partner and it works with you to, move through this tough time and help you make decisions where you can lessen some of the guilt, lessen some of the pain, lessen some of the rawness. It's still going to be there. But Cheryl, it sounds like you know how to do it.
There is guilt, because there's guilt that you waited too long.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's guilt is the biggest and the most popular, I will say, of the normal feelings of grief, is feeling guilty. And that could be anything. It could be guilty about, did I make the right decision? I feel so guilty. Maybe I could have done it this way. Maybe I should have went to another veterinarian. Maybe I should have fed them raw food. Maybe I shouldn't have fed them raw food. Or, maybe when Fluffy wanted to go outside to watch the squirrels in the bird feeder, I didn't let her, and I should have. And, so that's all normal. And we beat ourselves up, and, it's so important to go through it, to allow yourself to go through it, but also try to find little hints of kindness for yourself, compassion for yourself, and that you're not alone in this. There's a lot of people out there that have felt this way, and there's a lot of great communities. There's a lot of great resources that can support.
It's a wound, and you have to take care of the wound.
Exactly.
I know with me, it came, I'm a strong believer in, if you have cats, you should certainly have more than one. I mean, with all animals, you have more than one car, more than one pocketbook, more than one phone. And it does help if you have another animal in the house.
Yeah.
But for both of us, I mean, with my female, I like to let the other one know, because they'll always look for them. So they know.
Yes.
So I brought the towel back.
Yes. Awesome.
And so she knew, but then every once in a while, maybe she would get a scent. Maybe she would have a dream. She would look for him. I would start to, you forget, because a lot of it is learned behavior.
Right.
You're going to feed 2 cats, but now you only have 1.
Right.
So, I think with grief, and I don't really think people should shove it down. I think
no.
You should go with it, because it only manifests in other ways.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong than grieving a pet that you love dearly. Right. And they were really your best friends. I mean,
right.
Especially when you live alone with a pet. They are your everything, and vice versa.
Right.
So it sometimes comes in waves. I still think of him. It's really quite soon. It's only 2 months.
Yeah, that's very soon. Mm-hmm.
And I found one of his toys that was his favorite toy from a previous cat, and he absolutely loved it. And I found it and I gave it to her, and she sniffed it, turned away, sniffed it, turned away, and then she went crazy for it.
How sweet.
Yeah, so she knows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will tell you a story. When my first Samoyed died, that was the one I was telling Marley.
And it's not the cookie you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was like this was the one that was down in Boston. I had 2 Sammys at that time. And the Sammy that was surviving didn't get closure because it happened her illness was very fast and didn't have closure. And when I had a picture that was his level of her, he went up to that picture about 2 days after she was gone. He went up to that picture. He was I mean, it was the bizarrest thing, but he went up to that picture, was nuzzling the picture, and he started to howl at that picture. It made my hair stand on end, wow. Cheryl. And It was at that time I said, you know what? If I can have it in my power, I'm going, every animal I have next, and I have that needs, when the euthanasia comes, there's going to be closure, because our canine, our feline, our horse, equine friends, they do experience loss and they do grieve when their buddy dies.
Just look at elephants and donkeys.
Oh, I know. It's painful to watch.
It's like a herd thing. I mean, I would say in the last 10 years, we have really been exposed to animals in a way that, even cows and pigs,
everything,
that they have such feelings and compassion that they're just not pets or animals. They are living beings with the same, stuff inside that we have. And they know, maybe they know. I remember there always was a saying, and I witnessed it. A friend of mine's mother passed away, and they had a Siamese cat, and the cat ran away and stayed outside across the street from the house for 4 days before they came back.
Wow.
They say cats, animals sense things for sure.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They're
What are Samoans like?
Oh, Sammys are awesome. They are an old breed. They're from Siberia. They were part of the Samoyed tribe. So they were the babysitters, reindeer herders. They pulled heavy freight. They weren't fast like huskies. They were more into the steady, pulling freight. And so they're wonderful animals. And they're those big white fluffy things, and they're just loving, very smart, and just great animals. So we had 4 of them.
Oh, wow. My next pet is my next pet. I'm going to get a dog. I had dogs growing up.
Yes.
And I think I would like a dog.
Yeah.
So I always have my eye out,
Yes.
You fall in love with every dog.
You sure do. You sure do. And, we do rescue, because I really believe in that a lot. And,
I only would get a rescue.
Yeah. And
they're the best dogs.
They're the best dogs. And there's something about the look in their eyes when they are just, when they're loving you, they just, they're just thanking you. It's great. It's really great.
The cat that I have now, I got her as a kitten. So I've had her 18 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So I know everything about her.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Of course, when you adopt or rescue, there is a lot of unknowns, and that's also could be exciting, getting to know the dog.
Yeah.
From friends I deal with a lot of people rescue and who adopt, but it takes a while for the dog to let themselves be known, they're in a new place, new people. You don't know where they came from. You don't really know their story.
You don't know their story. No. So there's definitely, and if you do sometimes, if you get a dog right away after you lose your canine friend or your feline friend or whatever, that period of integration can take a little bit longer because you're grieving. So, there's a lot of things that go into rescue, which is wonderful. And that period of settling in and getting to know each other can be a really beautiful, beautiful and healing experience.
I have never not lived with a four-legged friend.
Yeah, I haven't either. I probably since I no. When I was in college, I didn't.
When I was born, my parents already had a tricolor collie.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful, sweetest dog. I learned how to pull up on him to walk. And then we had a standard poodle. They're brilliant dogs also.
Yes, standard poodles.
Everybody has the best dog. And
I know.
You're not wrong. If it's your dog, it is the best dog.
It is the best dog, for sure.
Now, I know you've written a few books. I'd like to take a break for our sponsor, and then we'll be back, and I'd like to talk about them.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There's no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, radio.com, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
We're back, and we're talking today to Wendy Van de Poll. She's a best-selling author, and she's done quite a lot of books on pet loss and the grieving process. And let's talk about, you have 2 books that I came across. One is after the fact of, the grieving process. And then there's another one you have where you do know that your pet is sick and will be leaving you.
Right.
That I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
Because a lot of times people this is their only pet and they might not know. And, not all animals leave us in old age, sadly.
Right. So I have 2 books for dog people and I have 2 books for cat people. So one is to deal with when your animal is in hospice. This is, when you get the notice that your pet is sick, and you want to start working on how to prepare for that. And that book is those books are super helpful. My dog is dying and my cat is dying. Okay. And then I have follow-ups for that. So it's what happens after. And that is my dog has and my cat has died. What do I do? And that will continue your journey on how to, like the first one, that will, if you're going through pet hospice, that will help you, like, what is grief? How do I deal with it? How do I make my lasting days with my animal special? What are some questions I can ask my vet? How to get a good team together? All that kind of great stuff. And then my dog or my cat has died. That's after what stages of grief you're going to go through, what's normal, what's not normal, what you can do, like, to be ready for the roller coaster ride, because grief is a roller coaster ride. You're going to have days where you're feeling fabulous, and the next day you're going to plummet. Something, you may be in the grocery store and you see a bag of dog food that looks like your dog or your cat, and that triggers some grief, and how you can start working through that and creating your new normal. And then I have some books for families, so how to help children going through this.
I would think that would be, because for myself, I'm one-on-one with my pets, whether I have 1 or 2.
Yes.
But I think for a family, it would be a little different.
Yeah. So there's a lot of activities in that. I also have some for pet professionals. In the past, I've done a lot of training for veterinarians in their offices and setting up pet loss grief departments, if you will, or how they can better integrate pet loss into their practice and helping their clients, their patients go through it. So I have a book for them. And then I have a fun book and it makes a wonderful gift. It's pet loss poems. So if you know of anybody that's grieving, it's a nice little gift. And they're sweet little poems that were basically, I wrote when I was a massage therapist for horses and dogs, and I was doing a lot of traveling. And most of my animals at the time when I wrote these poems, were in hospice, and people wanted to do something special. So I would go and weekly or daily and gently massage these beautiful creatures. So the way that I got very attached to these animals because I was with them hands-on, and some of them I was with for months on end. And I would go in my truck or my car and I'd sit there and I found myself writing poetry about the animal.
Yeah, the sayings really help.
They do, yeah.
I think one I've seen is always the best hello and the saddest goodbye.
Exactly.
Do you find a lot of people seek out help with you for their loss, that it's something?
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. They read my books, or they come across my website, or they hear me on a podcast like this, and they reach out. And I've got a lot of different ways people can get support. I have a ton of articles. I have resources, downloadable resources.
Well, you have a website that they could go to?
Yes. The website is centerforpetlossgrief.com. And there's actually a free gift on there. So there's a beautiful meditation that I did for people and a checklist.
Okay, repeat it again. Center for
petlossgrief.com.
Okay, that's a good thing to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a great website. I've got a lot of good stuff on there. I've put a lot of love and care into that site.
Now, for a lighter note, you also write cozy mystery books. What are they about? Are they
those are fun. Those are fun. I write cozy mysteries, and I write paranormal cozy mysteries. So these take place in a small town, and there's 5 books, and the protagonist, the main character, she's an attorney, and she gets divorced, and she moves to this small town and just has a blast solving murders, falls in love, meets all these crazy people. She's struggling with her own perfection and her own self. And, I don't want to give any spoilers, of course, but
as I mentioned, I have a book club.
Yes.
They are the most popular books out there. You could never duplicate.
Yeah, I know. They're so much fun.
You could read them in a minute.
I know.
Even if people die, it's not earth shattering.
No.
It's going to have you up, but they are, and mostly women.
Yes.
Writing these.
Yes.
They are delightful. And you write that under Melanie Snow, correct?
Under Melanie Snow. Yes. And I'm on Amazon.
And happy winter, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes. But yes, and there's lots of animals in my stories, of course. There's cats. There's
there's always animals.
Yes.
There's ones for knitting and for baking. They started out with food.
Yes, they did.
Now they're everywhere, and they are just delightful.
They're
fun. I always send my whatever I post on my book club with a cozy. And like I said, there is no duplicates because
no, it's fun. It's great reading. If you want to escape, it's actually a good self-care thing to do if your grief is getting too much, and you just want to take a break. Read a good cozy, because you can just get lost in it for a while.
Well, I'll tell you, I really enjoyed talking with you, and I hope you come back and visit us again.
I would love to, Cheryl. Thank you.
So I just want to tell everybody that we're talking today to Wendy Van de Poll, a.k.a. Melanie Snow in her other life. I want to thank Mark, my producer, and I want to wish everybody a wonderful day and to live life unleashed. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you again next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.